Shalom, my friends. The hem of his garment. Today I want to talk about the hem of Jesus' garment, where the woman had an issue of blood for 12 years, had some kind of hemorrhaging going on, and she reached up and touched his garment, or hem of his garment, and was made whole. And you can find the story in 3 out of the 4 Gospels: Matthew 9, Mark 5, Luke 8. Today we're going to focus on, we're going to go to Mark 5. So if you pick up your Bibles or on your laptop or iPad, but I want to start in here. And what I like about this is Jesus just got through basically performing 2 other miracles. He just calmed a storm, a great storm. He calmed it, made peace be still, and it calmed down. Then he went over and then he healed a man of demonic possession, where they had the demon in it, or demons, legion, for we are many, and he healed that. So then he goes by ship, he crosses the sea. And that's where we pick up in Mark 5, 21 through 43. And as I read this, I want to go down through here, and as I see something, I want to point it out or bring it out or break it down. And it's how I see it. And I really like this story. I really love it. It's almost like it's a miracle inside of a miracle. It's like a blessing inside of a blessing. And it's almost like a double portion blessing. And we're going to start in verse 21. Mark 5:21. And when Jesus had passed over again by ship unto the other side, much people gathered unto him, and he was nigh unto the sea. And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogues, Jairus by name, and when he saw him, he fell at his feet, and besought him greatly, saying, My little daughter lieth at the point of death. I pray thee, come and lay thy hands on her, that she may be healed, and she may live. And Jesus went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him. Now, right here, I read this. This Jairus, or Jairus, however you want to say it, but Jairus or Jairus, the miracles of Jesus is preceding him. It's getting around about this Jesus, or Yeshua. This Yeshua, the miracles he's doing. So, and he sees that his daughter is on the brink of death. And I love what he does. He goes and he falls. He fell at his feet. And that's a good picture of what we all should do when we are having a medical problem, or a financial, or a family problem, a marital problem. Go pray. Go to Jesus. And then we're going to pick up here on verse 25. And a certain woman which had an issue of blood for 12 years, and had suffered many things and many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing bettered, but rather grew worse, when she had heard of Jesus, came in and pressed behind him. I want to stop right there. See, she heard of Jesus. He is getting around his deeds, his miracles, who he is, what he says. It's ringing to certain people. You know, the truth is coming out, and when the truth comes out, it actually has a good feeling to you. The real truth. Not a made-up little lie that sounds good, but the real truth. And Jesus was preaching the kingdom of God. And so she heard of him. Then it says, in verse 27, when she had heard of Jesus, came in and pressed behind and touched his garment. For she said, If I may touch but his clothes, I will be made whole. Just think of this woman right here. She has got a issue of blood. Now it could be some kind of feminine problem, like menstruation. It doesn't really say, but some kind of hemorrhaging. She's having real bad blood problems. Now, in Judaism, Jewish customs, their Levitical law back then, Leviticus 15, excuse me, Leviticus 15, 25 through 30. Any woman who had hemorrhaging or some kind of blood issue, they were considered unclean until they got clean. And so this woman was unclean. And at the same time, if she was unclean, in Leviticus 13, 45 through 46, she's actually told to live alone. She's supposed to live outside of the camp or outside of the town. So this woman has had an issue of blood for 12 years. Think about that. 12 years. She has, in that time, she's not allowed, while she's got this hemorrhaging, this blood issue, she's not allowed to go to any temples to worship Yahweh. She's not allowed to go to any synagogues. She's not allowed to go to any events. Nobody wants to touch her because she's unclean. So this woman has lived a poor, pitiful life. I really feel sorry for her. I don't know who she is. But at the same time, it says down here in verse 26, and had suffered many things and many physicians, has spent all that she had, and nothing was better, but actually she grew worse. So it sounds like she spent a lot of money on these doctors who probably did some kind of superstitious quack things, you know what I'm saying, to her, that nowadays we would look at and just shake our head. But she spent a lot of money on this for 12 years and still never got better. Think of how her, over 12 years, you ever just get a headache, or you just have an issue or a backache, or your shoulder hurts for a short time. I know about you, but when I get a little bit sick or under the weather, I don't feel too spiritual. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I just leave me alone. Let me die. I mean, that's a figurative speech, but basically, leave me alone. I just let me get better on my own. I really don't feel too spiritual. I don't. I mean, I'm not over here praising Jesus, Yeshua, or Yahweh, the Lord. I'm not praising them. You know what I'm saying? I just don't feel good. So imagine how this woman felt. She had an issue of blood for 12 days, 12 years. And really, she was dead. In a sense, she was dead. Because really nobody wanted to be around her. She had probably no social life. She had to stay outside of camp. By Leviticus 13, she had to stay outside of camp until she got clean, or the town. She couldn't go to any religious events. Excuse me again. She couldn't go to religious events. Basically, she had to stay outside. She probably had no husband, because no man would want to touch her. I mean, because she's unclean by their laws. So this woman, her last ditch effort, as she hears about these stories of this Jesus, of this Yeshua, going through these towns and performing these miracles. And all of a sudden she's like, maybe I can be one of these miracles. Maybe he can heal me. So she goes up here and it says she presses behind and touches him. And presses, you got to think there's a multitude of people around his disciples, and then there's other people. And I look at this also as the people who are around him. You can read a little further down here, but I don't look at these people as their followers. I think they're just waiting for him to perform the next miracle. So they're waiting for him to perform the next trick, like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Okay, what's going to be your next trick? So that's how I look at these people here. They're not really true followers. They just want to see the next little thing, you puff of smoke you can make happen. Okay, verse 28. First she said, if I may touch but his clothes, I shall be made whole. Verse 29. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. See, it's a plague. So that's why I don't think it was a menstruation problem. It was some kind of hemorrhaging, maybe a blood disease. But she was healed of that plague. And Jesus immediately, knowing in himself that a virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press, or in the crowd, and said, who touched my clothes? Now, I want to look at this right here. When I looked at this, I kind of did a lot of thinking and study on this. Jesus turned around and said, in the crowd, who touched my clothes? Jesus is 100% God. He's 100% man. You can't tell me he doesn't know who touched him. He even told his disciples when he was going to Jerusalem, there's going to be a colt or a donkey over here. Go around the corner, get this donkey, unravel the cord, and if the owners come out, tell them this. He knew exactly where it was, who's going to come out and say it. It also kind of brings where it says, who touched my clothes? It also brings to mind when Adam and Eve was in the garden, when they ate of the fruit of the tree they knew they were naked, and they hid. God, who just got through creating all the earth, all the land, the animals, he put the moon and the sky and the sun, and he walks into the Garden of Eden. He goes, where you at? He doesn't know. No, he knew where they was at. They want him. God wants them to come and reveal himself. Let them come. That's what I think Jesus was saying. He says, who touched my clothes? I don't think he was trying to shame her, belittle her. What it is, I think he knew right where he had to be at that moment in time. I think when he was walking through that little town, after he got off that ship, he knew Jairus was going to come. He knew it. He knew 100%. And then he knew right where he had to go. He knew she was going to be there. And I think when he said that, he says, who touched my clothes? He was basically, I think it's a rhetorical question. I don't think he was actually asking. He was giving her the chance to basically step up. Like when we do a testimony. You just got healed. Step up. She was wanting to feel her worthiness. You know what I'm saying? She has got a whole new feeling on herself. Something she's not had for 12 years. Alright? So I think Jesus knew who it was. I think he knew where to walk at. He only had 3.5 years to do his mission. I think every foot he placed, every place where he went, he knew exactly what was going to happen. Verse 31. And the disciples said unto him, thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and thou sayest, who touched me? That really gets me there. His disciple has watched repeatedly the miracles he's done. Listen to his story. Knows who he is. But they question him? No, have they not learned anything? Verse 32. And he looked around, this is Jesus, and he looked around about to see her, that she had done these things, this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him and told him all the truth. Again, here's the second person who fell down. She didn't fall down because she was weak from her blood issue or hemorrhaging. She fell down because all of a sudden she realized who he was. You know, no other physician, no other man has healed her. In 1 second of a touch, she was all of a sudden made whole. And I don't think she just made whole physically, her body. I think she was made whole spiritually. Because, I mean, I think when she did that, I think her eyes were open and she knew exactly who he was. And I love this next line. I think this is one of the greatest things about this whole story right here. One of them. Verse 34. And this is Jesus talking. And he said unto her, he didn't say, get away from me. He didn't call her names. He said, daughter. He called her daughter. Why did he call her daughter? Because now she was a part of his family. She was part of his family. Imagine how that made her feel. Because think about it, for 12 years, nobody wants to touch her. Nobody wants to be around her. You know, she can't go, like I said, she can't go to no religious events, no synagogues or temples or tabernacles. She can't go to none of them. She has to stay outside the camp. And probably the ones out there who is with her are probably not that very nice people. So, I mean, she can't have no male contact or husband, because no man would want to be with her because she's really super unclean. But he says, daughter, think about that. Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace and be whole of thy plague. See, he knew she had a plague. she knew, well, at the same time, she also told him everything, so he knew she had to play. But I think what it is, he already knew everything about her. He knew her before she was even born. He knew this. He knew where he was going to meet her at. But he was letting her get her story out because she's all excited. You know, I'm finally finished with this blood plague, this issue of blood. Sorry, guys. Well, and then verse 35. While he yet spake, there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain, which said, Thy daughter is dead. Why troublest thou the master any further? As soon as Jesus heard the words that were spoken, he saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, Be not afraid, only believe. And he suffered no man to follow him, save Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. You know, and Jesus knew his daughter was probably already dead on their way there, because it sounded like she was on the point of death. The story that he did with the woman with the issue of blood, that really couldn't took too long. I wouldn't say, maybe several minutes. Once she touched, she told her story, and then he basically says, go in peace, you're made whole. So I think, you know, he knew she was already dead, and she was on the way there. But Jesus says, Be not afraid, only believe. And he suffered no man to follow him, save Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. And he cometh to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and seeth the tumult. And the word tumult there basically means an uproar. And he seeth the tumult, or the uproar, of them that wept and wailed greatly. So when they got to the house, people back then, there was actually, they would get paid to go in and start just wailing and crying and screaming up a big storm, you know what I'm saying, to make it really emotional. So there was an uproar. And verse 39 says, And when he was come in, he saith unto them, Why make ye do this ado, and weep? The damsel, or the little girl, is not dead, but asleep. And they laughed him to scorn. But when we had put them all out, everybody who was wailing and weeping and crying, he put them all out. And he taketh the father and the mother of the damsel, or the little girl, the daughter, and them that were with him, which will be the 3 disciples, he entered in which the damsel was lying. He took the damsel, or the little girl, the daughter, by the hand, and he said unto her, Talitha cumi, which is being interpreted, Damsel, I say unto thee, arise. And straightway the little girl, the damsel, arose, walked, for she was the age of 12. I never can figure out what the 12 meant. I mean, I really don't. But I've looked, and you can get stories on it, but there's nothing I can find that's really sound. So if anybody can give me an idea why the issue of blood was 12 years and the woman, I really have tried to figure that out, and I've never come up with anything really sound. So, straightway the damsel rose and walked, and she was the age of 12 years, and they were astonished with a great astonishment. And she charged them straitly that no man should know it, and commanded that something should be given to her to eat, or basically it says, I think one of the other ones, meat to eat. And I find this funny, is not really funny, I'm sorry, but if you think about it, these 2 women, the woman with the issue of blood and this young daughter, when this one woman who was had the issue of blood, when she started having her medical problem, her hemorrhaging or her blood issue, by the time she had it, this other girl, their daughter, was being born. At this moment, they're on 2 different paths headed to one destination. Jesus, Yeshua. At the same time, they're on 2 different paths, but they have one destination in the future. And at that same moment, 12 years later, and also think it's really, if you think about it, Jesus grabbed her, says, didn't grab her, but says, he took her by the hand and said to her, Talitha cumi. He took her by the hand. Can you imagine that day when Jesus takes us by the hand? That's going to be an awesome day. When we can finally see those hands that has the nail prints in them. that's supposed to be a nail print in my hand right here, but that has the nail print in the hand. So basically, the last thing I want to say here that I've gathered through all this, and this is, I love the story. It's like a miracle inside of a miracle. But I want you to listen to the 3 things that Jesus said. And I think this goes for me, for you, everyone, single you, for everyone who listens. There's 3 things Jesus said in these 2 miracles. First one he says was in verse 34. Verse 34, daughter. I just love that. Daughter, can't you wait till the day he calls you son or daughter? He calls you to his own. That's going to be a glorious day. But he says, daughter, thy faith has made thee whole. First of all, your faith is your key. Your faith in Jesus. Your faith in Yeshua. Your faith in him, that is the key to a lot of this. Now I like the next one down here. And the second thing is verse 36. And that's where he's talking to the woman with the issue of blood, or who had the issue of blood. Next one is to Jairus, or Jairus. But he says, he tells Jairus, after he found out, Jairus found out that his daughter was dead. Now imagine how he's feeling. He's feeling heartbroken. I mean, he just lost his little girl. And I mean, really, that would, I don't know how, you can't say how you would feel, but imagine how he feels at this moment. You know what I'm saying? And you know who's right beside him or right next to him or somewhere is the Comforter, is Jesus. And what does Jesus say? Be not afraid. That's the next one. Be not afraid. We're going to have problems in our life. All of us. But you know what? Have faith and be not afraid. Then he says, be not afraid. And the next one is, only believe. Believe. That's the 3 issues right there. Have faith. Be not afraid of what's going to happen. And believe. Believe he's going to carry you through it. Believe that Jesus, Yeshua, he's going to carry you through your problems, whatever. Whether it be medical, financial, marital, job issue, political. He's going to carry you through it. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to be like these 2 girls in here. The daughter and the young daughter. You will be made whole. I hope you found this lesson good. You get something from it. I'm going to make this a 2-parter here because there's a lot of information on this and I just don't want to run up the minutes on the video. But the next video here I'll be putting out shortly here. I'm going to try to make it short. I'm going to more focus on the hem. H-E-M, the hem of Jesus' garment. And the hem of Jesus' garment and how the hem is related back to Malachi 4:2, the healing in his wings. And also the hem of his garment, how it's related to, biblically, how it's related to the commandments of God, the 10 commandments. And you're going to see something really fascinating. And this is why the woman had the issue of blood, why she had faith. It wasn't blind faith, she knew something. She knew something, she was very smart. So, I hope you all enjoyed this lesson. Shalom and have a good day.